I was asked yesterday on the Bill Squad show, a commenter asked, like, what's the best idea at number 26? Like, today. Maybe we'll do that once a week. Tuesday, 9 o'clock.
Pulse check.
Pulse check 26. What's the best idea for the Bills? Or what's your favorite idea at number 26? And in 2 weeks, that'll change because they add this player in free agency and trade for this player. Like, all right, well, now I got a new idea at 26. What's the best idea at number 26 overall? We got 4 voices here. We can bring in Alt Joe, and Owen Parker, the parlay killer, and the senior goaltending correspondent himself. And I learned today that Connor Hellebuck played in the Null down in Odessa, which that's where Owen played, in the Null. The Odessa
Jackalopes.
Oh, I was going to try and get there.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Never got Jackalopes.
Who are the Mudbugs, by the way?
Shreveport
Mudbugs.
There's the Mudbugs.
There's Mudbugs. There's the Jackalopes. Are there the Brahma Bulls?
It's just the Brahmas.
The Brahmas.
The Lone Star Brahmas.
The Brahmas.
The Brahmas.
So Purple Bull was
the Brahmas. What are some other teams?
I'm looking at the list right now.
Tell me the location. I want to try and guess the name.
All right, how about I hope this is an active list. I think it probably is.
I can tell you.
El Paso.
Yeah.
That's Ramblers.
You got the right first letter.
Wranglers. That's a W.
No. That's a W.
Roadrunners.
Rhinos.
Yep.
El Paso Rhinos. Okay.
How about the...
I give him Amarillo.
Yeah, Amarillo.
Armadillos.
You already said it.
You already said it.
Oh, Wranglers?
Wranglers.
Yep. Okay.
There you go. What's the craziest one on here?
Colorado still in there, or did they move already? They weren't even a team
I don't
yet.
see a Colorado.
There
in
was
here.
the Colorado Grit.
How about Minnesota?
Oh, I'm trying to even think of what this one is.
It does have a connection to the NHL team. I'll say that. The team name does. The Minnesota
South Stars.
The Minnesota Wilderness.
Oh yeah, the Wilderness. That's
instead
right.
of the Wild, which is kind of funny.
There's some crazy ones in there.
New Hampshire. Any idea? What would New Hampshire name a Null hockey team?
The Jackrabbits.
The Mountain Kings.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
Yes, the Mountain Kings.
I like these. These are team names you don't see a lot in a lot of other. The Minnesota Mallards. There's 2 Minnesota teams apparently.
Yeah.
I just saw, by the way, that speaking of funny sports team names, Fort Wayne's baseball team, minor league baseball team, just rebranded and changed its name to They used to be the Fort Wayne Tin something. Fort Wayne Tin, not the Tin Cups. The
Tin Cups?
The Tin Caps.
The Tin Caps?
Yeah. Fort Wayne Tin Caps. They just rebranded to be the Fort Wayne Puffer Bellies. Why do I know this? Because a puffer belly is a train. And their shirt has a big train on it. And I did look at getting a Puffer Bellies shirt just to wear it to wear a train shirt.
Someone in sports has a train logo.
And I gotta have it. Speaking of which. So best idea at 26. Best Bills idea at 26 right now. 803-0550. We'll take the February 24th pulse on this.
It's hard for me to not find one receiver that I like a lot for that pick. So it's almost always for me going to be one of those guys, and I wonder if someone will get me off of this guy in the next 2 months. But early for me, KC Concepcion is that guy. Separator, runs all the routes, good draft profile. Size is not great, but it's not also like he's 5'7", right? He's 5'11", 6 foot. We'll see what he does this week. There's no age question about like when you had Xavier Legette coming into the draft, and they're like, well, he's old, and he didn't do it until he was 5 years older than everybody. So I think he's my favorite idea right now until someone talks me off of him into a different idea. I don't know that I've heard anything negative about him. Like, what is the reason he would even be there at 26? I don't know if I have a good answer to that.
Drops.
It's drops?
His thing is drops.
Okay, and
but
I think I want to say that's the kind of thing I want to choose to not care about.
I know, right? Isn't that
because
funny?
Isn't that the thing that's most correctable? Like, if you give me 26 is going to be a flawed player to some degree. Like, he's going to have a but. So, okay, the guy that can't get open. Am I going to teach him to get open? That seems really hard to do. The guy that has drop problems. I don't want to oversimplify it, but can I just have him start every practice with an hour on the jugs machine? And over the course of 2 years, he's going to figure it out? Wasn't Knox this a little bit? Knox still has some drop problems, but not like when he came into the NFL, where he's dropping everything. So I don't want to completely ignore that, but if you tell me that I got a really good player at that position and he can kind of do everything, but the one thing he's letting me down in is he's got some drop problems, I'm going to go for that guy.
All right. You took mine. I think that's the best idea.
He's your best idea too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. There was a comparison over the weekend, player comp. He was comped by Damian Parson of Locked On NFL Draft to Emmanuel Sanders.
Okay.
Sold.
I've heard Diggs comparisons to him too.
He gets open all the time.
Yeah.
That's my best idea at 26. And I'd like to just...
he had 19 drops in his career. He had 186 catches, 19 drops.
Right, so like a 10% drop rate. Do you have it year by year? Because from what I understand, it was more 2 years ago than it was this past year. But I would like to bring up Ed Oliver. You heard Michael Hoyt and Ed Oliver right there. I know the Bills need a lot of pieces on defense. In fact, like the number is that only 57% of their snaps were returning to the roster. Mm-hmm. And how many of those are Ed Oliver snaps? Like I know. You can always do that if a guy stays healthy. But the Bills' defense, they need to rebuild their front seven. And if I could borrow a bit of a cheat that people will do sometimes, well, just pretend that blah, blah, blah. Pretend they signed Ed Oliver and Michael Hoyt today.
Yeah.
They didn't sign them today. But both those players will be added to the defense that ended the season. Neither of them was on the defense that ended the season. And are they their two best front seven players? Ed Oliver was not available the whole year.
Right.
When he was available, how did he look? He did look dominant. So do I need a lot of pieces on my defense? I do. I know that I need a lot of pieces on that defense. I'm getting one really good piece back that missed the whole year, basically. Mm-hmm. And another piece that also missed the whole year. How many quarters are there in a game? 8. Are there 80 quarters played? He played 6, Michael Hoyt. Mm-hmm. How did he look? Really pretty good.
He looked excellent.
So I'm adding 2 excellent players. The only reason I'm mentioning that is, anytime you hear somebody say, like, well, receiver in the first round, like, yeah, I actually have 2 difference makers already returning to my defense. It doesn't have to be that first-round pick is a linebacker or an edge player or anything like that. Like, I've got some pieces already coming back, which I think you should be excited about. So, KC Concepcion, that's mine. Best idea.
His drop rate over the course of his career, in his first year, it was 7%. Last year, 2 years ago in 2024, it was 11.7.
He's on pace to get down to 3.
And then last year, it was 10.3.
Right.
So it went down, but it didn't go down a lot.
All right.
I mean, it still was pretty significant. He had 7 drops in each of the last 2 years, but is that wrong to think that that's a simpler thing to fix than most problems a player would have? Drop problems? Didn't Jamar Chase have drop problems?
In his rookie season.
Was it him? Someone amazing had
yes,
him.
In training camp and preseason of his rookie season.
He couldn't catch the football.
He couldn't catch the ball, and people wondered if it was because the ball didn't have the white stripes that college balls have. It was Jamar Chase.
Right. I remember that
Well,
now.
maybe he's making the adjustment to the NFL ball.
Right. So, and there are other ideas similar to him. Like, I'm really falling in love with the Omar Cooper idea around that time, although I'm starting to see more and more draft people like he's not going to be there. Like, that is the guy that people will fall in love with this spring, and he's going to go higher than most are expecting. But maybe that's wrong, so we'll see. Like, he's a name that I really like. I have been saying for weeks that I love Zachariah Branch from Georgia, and I'm getting scared because everyone keeps putting stats out about how often he's running screen passes. Like, 54% of his targets were screens. And I knew he ran a lot of screens, but that's the highest that any receiver in the last 4 draft classes has run screens by 14%. Like, it's not just he runs a lot of screens. He runs more screens than anybody in 4 drafts, and it's by a wide margin. And I've already got this concern about whether Joe Brady runs too many of these already. And if they add a receiver that I do like he's super fast and dangerous, and I guess when he does run the real routes, it looks pretty good, but he's not doing it a lot. I guess I'd just be scared of them adding the number 1 screen receiver of the draft to a team that already probably runs too many of them. So he scares me a bit this morning.
Zachariah Branch, scared. He's your guy.
I know, but
I'd like to point.
he's my guy. I'm afraid what he would look like in this offense.
Yeah. Anthony in Buffalo. Anthony, good morning.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I just want to kind of try to switch you guys over here. I am not for a wide receiver, so I would say this. If you're going to have anybody in a draft, especially if you're going to stay at 26. Now, if Brandon Beane moves up, that's a whole other story. But at 26, who would have a bigger impact for the upcoming season it almost feels at 26 you would reach for a wide receiver, but
I don't think any. Go ahead.
For an impact player, don't you feel a linebacker or a defensive end would be more productive than a wide receiver that receives a football for the first time ever from Josh Allen, who's a Hall of Famer and who throws a cannon? So I just don't see. Maybe Coleman is an example of this. That it's like, holy shit! Excuse me. I'm getting a football thrown from. I've never seen a ball come this quick in my face in my life. So for me, I'm all about going with a linebacker, somebody that's going to stuff the hole for the run for.
Yeah. I don't think a receiver will be afraid of catching a pass from Josh Allen because it's coming in too fast.
Yeah, I'm
which
not
is
there.
A strange thing to say. Among other things that were strange to say. Thank you, Anthony, for the phone call. Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The idea that a wide receiver will not be a good value at 26, you can't find any draft analyst that says that. Mm-hmm. They all say, actually, that the top 100 players in the draft, there are more receivers that are probably worth it than any. I've seen as many as 17 in the top 100. Now, if you want to say, get one on day 2, I'll listen to that. I'll listen to a day 2 receiver. There's lots of good ideas in day 2.
Mm-hmm.
And, I couldn't tell you there's something I don't want them to do. You want to tell me there's an edge or linebacker? Right now, I can't say don't do that. The segment isn't like what shouldn't they do. It's like what's the best idea?
Right.
And until they make a couple of signings or make a trade, if they go ahead and trade for A.J. Brown, all right, well, I don't need a first-round receiver. I might need a third-round guy, someone else to continue to grow the pipeline. But
yeah,
I'm fully prepared to dedicate 70% of the assets of this offseason to the defense again. But the defense, of course, needs more help. But no, at 26, there's definitely going to be a receiver or two that is worthy of that pick.
I don't know if there's an idea I hate on the defense. Although I guess the low end of the totem pole for me would be linebacker right now, drafting one late. The idea that I'm starting to fall for a little bit on the defensive side of the ball is the big safety from Toledo, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, 6'2", 220. He is a little bit more raw, I think, than the guys he'll get compared to because of size, which are going to be Kyle Hamilton and Nick Emenwari. He's a little lighter than those guys, and he's a little more raw, and he didn't play in as big of a conference. But I read John Ledyard's write-up on him, who did a deep dive on him last week. And, he's not perfect. There's some sloppy tendencies, and he isn't also the best player in the box for what his size is, but that might be okay because, as we've talked about a lot, that's where Cole Bishop is at his best. So maybe this is your deep half of the safety, but a guy with that athleticism, with this defensive coordinator who was a safety and comes from a very similar style of defense that Emenwari plays in Seattle and that Hamilton plays in Baltimore, I would be very interested to see what Jim Leonhard could do with a safety of that type of athleticism. But again, he might be a little bit of a ball of clay that you need to mold into that. Which, does that scare you? Because nobody wants a project, I don't think, in the first round.
No, and I also really wonder about the value of safety with a premier pick. You want to play the game of what are the expensive positions? Should I draft the expensive positions or the cheap positions with my early picks? And it's not a universal rule. You get a guy that's great, you get a guy that's great. I wouldn't necessarily go away from it, but there's not as much value in a safety in the first round as there is receiver or edge.
That's a good point.
That's where you're going to keep. That's where you're going to save the most cap space for other signings, and kind of cheat the system a little bit.
Right, because also your margin for getting value on that pick is, well, he's got to be Kyle Hamilton for you to feel like you hit a home run.
They're talking about Caleb Downs going
right?
2.
Like Hamilton's
that's another one of these conversations about you. Like safeties just don't do that.
Like Hamilton, I think, is the highest paid safety in the league. He makes $25 million per year, but he's the best safety in the league, and he makes Greg Rousseau money. Roughly, he's a little bit higher than that. Who's not a top tier pass rusher. So that point is always going to be held true. Like you got to be sure, I think, to pick a guy like that in the end of the first round that he's going to be a star player at the position. You got to be sure of that. Or you got to at least be pretty confident that you can make him into that. Because, again, that's a little bit more of him because he is got all the tools you want, but maybe you got to have Jim Leonard put it all together for him.
803-0550. Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
Yeah.
EMW. I would like a player on the team that we could just go with letters.
Manny McNeil?
No, just letters. KC Concepcion. Could he be KCC? And
I think you want him to ditch the nickname when he gets here.
KC?
Yeah.
I was going to ask if he had a problem with KC.
I think ditch it. I don't need him to we'll get you a new nickname. It's just his initials.
Sure.
Right?
What are you going to call him instead?
Also,
Kevin Concepcion?
Isn't he kind of already doubling up? Because doesn't the C stand for Concepcion? Am I wrong on that? Or does the C come from somewhere else?
No, you're right.
So really, the nickname is already kind of not great because
he's just KC. It's
Kevin Concepcion. The nickname makes him Kevin Concepcion.
You're right about that. I call him KC.
I don't like it. Call him Kevin. He was born in Rochester, by the way.
Whoa.
I don't think he grew up in Rochester.
Local guy. Let's go.
He was born in Rochester.
Went to high school in North Carolina. But yeah, all right, born in Rochester.
KD is not KD Durant.
Correct.
Right?
That's science. Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
So why are we all doing it then?
I don't know. Just someone started doing these are the questions you ask in your 15-minute interview at the Combine, I think. Right? See, the Jaguars are not doing it, by the way?
Yes.
They decided not to go.
You know why that probably makes sense for the Jaguars?
Why?
Don't you think their GM is a new age guy that thinks...
He is 27 years old.
That thinks or subscribes to interviews are information overload and might actually poison the well. I don't need to interview these players to like them. I'll interview their coaches. I'll talk to but for them, sure, there are going to be some we talk to and interview, but you can be crippled by over information.
Their GM's 35 years old, by the way. That was the first thing I thought of.
You said he was 27. That'd be something else.
Isn't somebody's GM 27 somewhere? Maybe that's the record for a GM. The first thing I thought of when I saw that they're not going for these interviews was the interviews that the Bills did with Keon Coleman and Kyrie Elam that we saw.
Sure.
And in both instances... I know, hindsight's easy, right? Because those picks did not work out at this moment, but they were both given a lot of credit for they wowed them. They shared it with us.
Yeah.
Elam brought his playbook, right? Brought the playbook and showed off to them about how hard a worker he is.
And took their playbook on the plane back with him.
Right, and they loved that. And then Coleman made them all laugh and was talking about golf and the mentality that he has, and he wowed them too. And that can go a long way, I think, into fooling you into thinking that they're better players than they are.
Right.
And I don't think that happens every time, but...
You start to get to, it feels like he'd really fit in with us. Oh, great, he would. Is he any good? Can he play?
Right,
and that's not just the Bills that'd be guilty of that or any team that'd be guilty of that. Like these GMs and these scouts, there's plenty of evidence that, you can't really beat the draft. You're going to have your hits and your misses. You're scouting players. We don't see teams release their boards. If we ever saw that, we would see through the entire draft because the players you pick are the players you say you love. And Kyer Elam, let's use him as an example. Or Keon Coleman, use him as an example. The Bills wear the Keon Coleman pick. Maybe there's a team that drafted 13th that had him as their highest player on the board, and they decided to go with a different position of need instead. And then Coleman makes it all the way to the Bills, and you never find out that team was like, wow, he almost went 11th. They had a conversation about him at 11. Instead, it never comes up, and that team never has to own that miss or that loss, right? The quarterback class of 2018, Allen, Rosen, Lamar. Show me Kansas City's board. What did it look like?
All right, I'll give you an offer. You can either have a guaranteed Bills Super Bowl and you don't know when it's coming, or you can have access to all the draft boards from all of time.
I mean, do I get to share them with people, or am I just sound like a crazy person on the street yelling?
You get to share them with people. Sure, you get to share them.
Oh, I've seen the board. You wouldn't believe me. No one would believe me.
That's your own internal fight that you have to deal with. You get the files. You get all the draft board files from all of time.
I'll take the Super Bowl instead.
I would like to know where anyone thought. I mean, has anyone ever released a board ever?
The closest we have to that is the Giants accidentally showing some.
But it didn't really tell you anything.
Also, the Panthers once revealed a little bit when they drafted J.C. Horn one year.
Yeah.
That came up somewhere. But
like, where are these GMs from 20 years ago just showing us their like notebook?
Oh, what they're doing is saying, I was going to draft Josh Allen. That's what they do.
I know.
That's all they do.
At that point, just show me.
Oh, I was going to draft Russell Wilson. Oh, yeah, you were?
I want to see someone with a picture. This was our board. Prove it to me.
Yeah, no one wants to do that.
Because someone had it, right? There were reports Seattle tried to trade up and they had Allen number 1. Where's Pete Carroll? You're retiring now, right? Show me what your Seattle board looked like in 2018 and that you had Josh Allen number 1. Anybody.
803-0550. What's the best idea at 26 today? What do you like the most? We're talking about that with you here on WGR.